Hi, everybody. My name is Kirsten.
I'm Cheryl. Forgot my line already.
Okay, let's try it again. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name is Kirsten.
And I'm Cheryl.
Welcome to Casey Cafe. So today we're going to be talking openly about our story and how we've helped 900 families. We haven't done a good job at expressing what our struggles are, our successes, but we've worked with many people in different communities, First Nations, and we just want to reflect what we've done to help people and just share a little bit about what we've done.
And I'm Cheryl. We started this podcast, so we wanted to talk candidly about education, politics, dyslexia, new legislation, maybe Jordan's principle, schools, family, First Nations communities. There's a very long list that we want to talk about. We aren't experts, but we do have a lot of experience and connections with families and communities that have had many of these challenges. So we just wanted to make sure that we connected, and maybe some of our experience can be helpful to you. So I'm asking you, so we're starting to do this podcast, right? Why is this podcast, we had an emotional start to get here.
Yeah.
Why is this podcast important for you to do right now?
I think just to share my struggles, my successes, to help someone else, like to help them with their life.
In what ways?
I don't know. I think the emotional struggle that I went through in school was very traumatizing for me.
And you had just said, I didn't realize how much PTSD and how emotional this still is for you today.
Talking about it 15 years later is I'm realizing all these memories are coming back, and I'm like, those memories didn't make me feel good. They didn't put me in a place that's positive. It really brought me back into anxiety, and it's I don't usually have so much anxiety like this, and me just freaking out and not wanting to record. It's just a lot of emotions all coming at once, and I think that's why I'm having a really hard time getting my thoughts out.
And saying a script, I think saying a script is difficult, but I think you come out best when you talk just about your feelings in the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think when things are scripted, then that seems fake.
Yeah.
So your goal for this podcast is?
The goal for this podcast is helping people that were kind of in my situation, to give them guidance, give them a perspective that, yes, it's traumatic. There's a lot of things that happen, but you can get through it. And we might be talking about some of those things of how I got through it, maybe how I struggled, and what were the type of situations on where that trauma, maybe where it came from.
And I think that's well said. And I think that one of the things as humans is that we connect on shared experiences. Mm-hmm. And I think that if people know that they're not alone, that makes a really big difference. Yeah. And I hope that what comes of this is both of us sharing a perspective of you being the student, being in school, me being the mom, helping you through that. We're not knowing what each experience was then, right? We may not see that or have known that was our experience. And I think just even starting this, we're revealing the things we didn't even know about each other, and how hard it was for you, and how much it still affects what we do today.
Yeah.
Right? I think I see that in you a lot, is because you had to work so hard. You thought, I'm going to do it. But your fight to get there makes you kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's not what you mean, because you're fighting against yourself.
Exactly. I feel like I'm in a constant battle with I want to feel free. I want to feel like my past was my past. But it's every time I'm talking about that trauma or going back to how I felt in a classroom or at school, even advocating for students that I work with, it takes me back there, and I after the meeting's done, I'm like, man, I just feel like I got hit by a bus. I'm so exhausted from just having all of that, I guess, pain. I bring that suffering back, and I feel it, and it's oh, I don't want to feel like this anymore.
I think that's a good way of putting it, because that's how you sound,
Yeah.
right? Is that's how you sound, and that's how hard it is for you to bring that out. And I always want to be put out there. We're not striving for perfection, and I hope that that's something we can agree. We're not striving for perfection. We're striving to share,
Yeah.
and to help, and to connect, and to build, and to grow. Right? I think that's our genuine.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's just where I've always just structured myself, and okay, where's the structure? Where's the script? What do I have to say? What do I have to plan? And I think maybe me over planning, it's getting in my way, because then it's like, am I ever getting to the end of where I want to be? Am I just planning all this for nothing, right? Like, to not do it.
Even plan.
So-
I think, and
It's important to plan.
I give you a lot of credit, because planning and your structure has helped in many, many ways. And I think that there's an absolute place for it.
Yeah.
Right? I think there's an absolute place for it. I think the important part is to go, where do we tease that apart? And go, it's okay to fly by the seat of our pants. It's okay if things don't go according to exactly what our script says. And if we weave off, that's just kind of like our conversations in real life, right?
Yeah,
Like,
for
I
sure.
think that is just our real life. Is we said this last time, we were like, squirrel, right? And we kind of veer off and go into something else. And I think that I'm hoping that this is what this can become, is a conversation, and that we eventually involve other people, because maybe then we can deal with specific things that are hard for other people.
Yeah.
I think we'll start it off by sharing some experience of ours, but our hope is to not just be about us, right? Like, that's not our goal.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a whole long list of things we were talking about before. Do you want to go and start at number 1 again?
Yeah. I think let's
Okay. Okay.
start at the beginning.
So, when you were in the classroom, and you just already said about how difficult this was,
Yeah.
how was it being in a classroom knowing you were different when we go back in time? Is there a specific age you thought was harder than the rest?
I would say before grade 5, I think everything was kind of just, like, I do remember just going into a classroom and like, hey, my friends, and being excited to be in class. But then spelling tests, or, anything that had to be like writing stuff down, I feel like I was just always like pretending, or just kind of like existing in the class and not really doing the work, until it was like, okay, now class is over and we're doing something else, and I have nothing to show for it.
So you had talked about how like, you feel you have PTSD when you're talking about school. What do you think are those things that trigger you? Like, what do you think that brings you back to a feeling of what?
I think it's fear of just not feeling confident, or kind of like, I don't know, I always think like a fish out of water, not confident, which I feel like I usually am very confident in most things. And I think that when it comes to like academics, I just like, I hide away, or I just like, I don't know how to get through it, even though I have all these things that I've learned throughout my life to be able to handle those situations. It's like I go blank, and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
And it's interesting because you are different now.
Yeah.
Like, you're very different now. But I feel that there are times where you go back and those feelings are the same.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that?
It seems like I have an anxiety attack. Like, that's how it feels. I feel like I'm overwhelmed with all of the emotion, that maybe it's the fear of, like, because it's not like I'm a fear of going back or aggressing, or I can read and spell, and that's not what it is. I think it's more, I don't have structure. I feel uncomfortable. I feel like I don't fit. Right? And it just takes me back to where I'm like stunned, and I'm like, I'm not acting how I would be if I was at work, or if I was, at home doing a project with the family or something, right? Like, it would be different. But it's like, as soon as I think about how school was, it just wasn't it's just not a feeling that I like to feel.
Is it almost like just because I see your reaction, is it almost like you feel not trapped, but almost like
Yeah.
it's like you're trapped in a situation that you don't want to be in, but you don't know how to get out of?
Yeah. Trying
Is it,
to.
is it like
Well, I
that, or is
think.
it something
Well,
different?
I feel like this morning, I think before we started, I live out in the country, so me driving here took me an hour to get here. Right? So I think if I didn't want to talk about it and sit on the couch, I would have been like, I'm going to just stay home and I'm not going to drive an hour. Right? So I feel like I already got in the car and I'm already here. So I think that I want to talk about it because I know that what I went through is not as severe as maybe the people we've talked to recently. Like I think when people are at school, I guess now that I'm thinking about how we were just talking.
I was gonna say, I think you underplay it.
Yeah.
Because I remember, and maybe we talk a little bit about that, is I remember when you were kindergarten, grade 1, and you would call and you would say, my stomach hurts, or I want to come home, and you would be so upset. That happened a lot
Yeah.
in kindergarten, grade 1. And I remember going, well, it's supposed to still be fun. And it was never fun for you. Why do you think that did you physically really feel sick, or you were just avoiding tasks? Do you remember? You were young.
Yeah,
I don't know
no.
if you remember that.
I think that was I think on those types of things, I think it was I knew I didn't like all my friends could read and spell to a point and I was just so far behind. I knew that I wasn't where I should be at. So I felt like there was something wrong with me. I'm like, there's something wrong with me. Why am I dumb? Why can't I learn? Why is reading and spelling so difficult? And then the teachers, they make it seem like it's so easy. So then it kind of makes me feel a little bit crazy. Like
Oh.
they're doubting my perspective and my belief and what's in my reality. Like the boy who cried wolf kind of thing, like
And that you genuinely couldn't do it. And
Yeah.
trying harder and working more and doing, because we did a lot of work, like
Yeah.
flashcards.
Yeah.
And we went to a reading program when you were in grade 1. I enrolled you outside of school.
yeah.
And I remember going, it shouldn't be this hard. And
Yeah.
everyone says, well, if she works harder and try harder, it'll get better. And it didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at that point it was a lot of us trying and my efforts seemed to not all the hard work and all my efforts that I put into it wasn't making a difference. So I was just like kind of defeated and like, so is this what it's supposed to be like? Is learning supposed to be this hard and this painful for me?
That's a good point.
Right? So I felt like, is it ever going to get better? Like I really felt like I was not in a very like optimistic situation. I felt very like all my hard work leads to nothing. Right? So then I felt like as a a kid that's in grade 1,
Yeah.
if I think that it takes this much work to do everything, it's like, why try? Because I'm just going to fail and fail and fail. And then there's no, really great thing to be like, yeah, I did this. I feel accomplished now. I can read now. It's like that. And every year it was like the same thing, the same
Over.
thing.
Almost like the definition of insanity.
It's like
hey?
the same thing every year.
Like they do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, and it didn't ever happen. I mean,
Yeah.
grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, and grade 6 you were quitting school. Like
Yeah.
you said, I'm done. And it wasn't that we just said, okay, we're going to give up. That wasn't ever an option. It was always, I feel like, let's try this. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try this. Okay, that didn't work. And you were getting frustrated with it not working. So now I get why you were so frustrated. Because you're like, when is it going to actually make a difference?
When is it going to end?
When's it going to be better?
When are you gonna... Yeah, and maybe that's also too like today, right? I was just like, okay, I just want to get through it and rip the Band-Aid off,
Yeah.
And it's like, but maybe that's not what it's supposed to be about, right? It's supposed to be about just, okay, I have to feel upset. I have to feel, I'm like vibrating, shaking because I was like, right? Because
Yeah.
I just want it to be the way that I plan in my head. And I think that that's where, maybe that's just me and my personality, that like when I was younger, I would daydream a lot and I would like, oh, I'd want it to be like this. And so I'd put a lot of expectation for myself. And then when it didn't go the way that I was planning, I was disappointed in that. right?
That explains a lot, because you put effort in, you plan, okay, I'm going to study these words, I'm going to read these books, it's going to get better, it never did.
Yeah.
So that you having disappointment in a projected outcome. And now you have control of that. And when it doesn't, right, you're like, here we go again.
Yeah.
Right? That does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I think
it's the panic, like the panic sets in, and it's like, okay, I have to calm down and think about, why do I feel this way? Because if it's causing this much suffering, like, why am I doing that? Right? Or maybe I do need to just feel that and just move on. Right? Like, that's just, I think sometimes we have to just feel it.
I agree. I also think you have a unique situation, I guess, is all I can say, is because you are a very good reader and speller now.
Yeah.
You have, through
I've done
a lot
18
of work,
years.
like literally,
all of, like,
yeah. And it's not just random. It was very planned. It was what
Yeah.
scientific independent research would help you do that. What program was it that was going to
Yeah.
change? Is it actually working?
Yeah.
Right, and those measurements going through, and where are you reading and spelling now? Those
Yeah.
are the things that made you change and gave you a different life, but that isn't everyone's experience.
Yeah.
Right? You've experienced success.
Yeah.
You've overcome. I don't want to say overcome, because I feel like
There's always going to be ups and downs. Like,
I agree. And I don't think that, I think you've accomplished and you've become literate.
yeah.
I think that's
That was
what
the
statement
hardest
can
thing,
be.
I think, that literacy was something. And that was also, too, like, just in my journey now, like, I thought having good literacy meant that I'm intelligent and I am smart, and right? So I equaled literacy with intelligence and
That's a good point, too.
right? So then
Yeah.
once I started to kind of realize, oh, literacy is reading and spelling. It's not how I process information. It's like, well, it kind of leads into that, but I have all these great ideas and all these, like, things like, oh, let's do this, or let's plan this. But it's like, how do I do that? Well, I'd have to write a list, or I'd have to read a list, or I'd have to research, or right? And that always sometimes got in my way.
And we say all the time that literacy is not equated to intelligence,
Yeah.
right? To be intelligent, if you don't have literacy, it doesn't mean you're not intelligent. I think I said that in an awkward way.
Yeah.
You have to be smart, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're smart. Being illiterate doesn't mean you aren't smart.
Yes.
But I absolutely see your point, is if you are smart and have these ideas and goals, if you don't have literacy, how are you supposed to document and plan and be successful without that?
Yeah.
I think people who don't have issues with literacy, like I never struggled,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to get, because it's my everyday, and I have never had to function without it. And you don't realize how much it is, even reading street signs, billboards, right, instructions, or a recipe, or whatever it is.
Right.
And I don't think people realize how much more reading than there is, I think, writing. Writing nowadays, we can get around that. But in your everyday life, and you don't always have your phone with you,
Yeah.
right? Interesting.
So, with dealing with the schools, right? Like, I think in school, I called a lot. I called you, and I'm sick. I'm not feeling well. I don't want to do class today. I think there were certain classes I enjoyed more. Did you ever notice that, like, I called on specific times or specific days, or did you just were like, it was just random?
I didn't associate it with anything at first. Like, at first, I didn't clue in on the task. Probably kindergarten, I didn't get it. By grade 1, I started to see the patterns. Like, I started to see, oh, wait. I get right, you'd be crying going to school. I'm like, it's supposed to be fun. So I realized early on it wasn't fun for you. And I also was not delusional. I knew you should be at a higher spot for reading and spelling. My mom is an educator, and we had a lot of
Like, reading books, and like every night we would read books, and like Dr. Seuss.
since you were born.
Yeah.
Right? So it did surprise me, because I went into kindergarten reading.
Yeah.
You didn't. And I was like, what's going on? And I remember my mom saying, it'll just take her a little bit longer. Some kids do. Here, do these things.
Yeah.
And would do that, and it didn't change. So
Yeah.
I knew early on that it was harder for me. And I remember saying to my mom, there's something going on because I can tell Kirsten is smart. She cannot read and spell. She just, it doesn't, it was like a deer in headlights. And I think it was a deer in headlights until you were in at least grade 6. So I started to clue in young. I started to go to the school and say, I know something's going on with Kirsten. Everyone always said, don't worry, Cheryl, don't worry. Kirsten's smart. She'll catch on. Like, I know she's smart. I never said that.
Yeah.
I said she can't read and spell. And no one ever disagreed with me on that.
Yeah.
But everyone kept saying, she'll be fine, she'll be fine, she'll be fine. And I listened until about grade 4.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you guys are wrong. Like, you're wrong. She's not getting it. It is not changing. It is not getting better. We are all doing the best we can, all of us.
Mm-hmm.
We're not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Like, that was very apparent, I thought.
And I think coming home from school, like, again, I don't really I guess I kind of remember kindergarten. I would say grade 1, grade 2 is when I remember, like, a lot of, like, going out for recess or, like, music class or gym. Like, I feel like a lot of, like, the fun things I remember. I think a lot of the difficult stuff in classrooms, it was just so much for me. Like, I do think that I blurted out, right? I was like, I don't want to have to remember me struggling so much. And I think in the classroom too, like, I did want to cry. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't want my peers or my teachers to know how uncomfortable I was. So I do find I was masking a lot during the day, just trying to brush it off like it wasn't really a big issue, but inside it hurt me so much. And then when I'd come home, I would lose my shit.
You really?
And, like, literally freak out and...
like slamming doors and throwing stuff. And then I remember school saying, we had parent teachers regularly, and it was like, Kirsten's such a calm, easy go. And I'm like, are you talking about Kirsten? Like, right? And
they don't see me freak out and explode.
And that's when I think that's one of the big things that clued me in was you're holding it together all day long and you're making it work, and you come home and you can't. Like, you come home to your safe space and you can't hold it together anymore because you've pretended all day long. Yeah. Like, is that, because that's what I thought. Is that kind of what was happening?
Yeah, I think I did feel a little like I felt like there was always something wrong. I couldn't figure out why I was like that. Why was I different than other people? There was some people in my class that also struggled because they would put me kind of in the reading groups together, or they'd take me to resource. So I'd kind of have like a group of people that it all kind of didn't make sense. So in my perspective, I was like, so it's not just me. At least I have like 2 or 3 people as well that this doesn't make sense. So I can't be the only one. But I just felt like in a world of like all these adults, I was like, there has to be a solution to this, right? So I felt really disappointed when it just wasn't ever getting better. And again, also too, like, I feel like my dad, like, you know, he was in my life as well when I was younger. And I think that disappointment also got me upset too, when sometimes I wouldn't go over to see him or whatever, right? Like, I kind of associated that disappointment as well with, well, my school disappoints me, you know? So,
and I think
it's a lot.
I think that was a hard time for both of us.
Yeah.
Because you would tell me that there are issues. I knew you were behind. I would go to the school and I'd say something is going on, and they always dismissed me. Mm-hmm. You're the mom. And don't get me wrong, I don't ever want to bash everyone did the best they could.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. The really difficult part for me was nobody heard me. Like, nobody heard when I said there's a problem. Yeah. Nobody allowed me to participate in the meetings in a meaningful way because I was just the mom.
Right.
And it was really discouraging for me because I'm bringing to them, I trust you people with my daughter all day long. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you there's something wrong. And no one is willing to acknowledge for what, just even acknowledge. She'll be fine, everything's fine. It was always an appeasing me. But it was never, let's do some tests. Let's see where nobody ever would allow that to happen. Yeah. And that was the part that was really hard for me because I'm like, you know,
how do you give me direction? How do you know, like, preparing me even? You couldn't even really prepare me because you had no idea.
You had said to people, you had said you thought you were crazy,
Yeah.
right? Because of that, right? That people didn't believe you. I thought I was crazy because people kept saying, "No, fine, it's fine, it's fine," and I'm like, "Am I crazy? Because I know something's wrong. Am I like in another universe?
Yeah.
Because no
Something
one is.
we think.
Yeah, and I think that what was difficult for me is looking back. I wish the school team would have worked with me and collaborated with me, and that we were Team Kirsten.
Yeah.
And it never felt like that. It always felt me against them. I never claimed, I was never an educator, I was never a trained teacher, but I knew my kid,
Yeah.
right? And I knew there were problems. And I just wanted the school team to listen and say, okay, what's the plan? So I guess your structure and plan does come from me a little
Yeah.
bit. And that was not something that was ever done. And that was very hard for me because you were going to fall in the cracks and I wasn't going to allow that. You were my only child. I was
Yeah.
a single parent your whole life. I couldn't let that happen. And I couldn't find a place to help me help you.
Right.
And that was hard.
Yeah. So then I think that was kind of where we were saying then grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. It was just like getting me by, like in the dark.
Yeah. And then finally, grade 6, you said you were quitting.
Yeah. I
said,
was like,
"That's it."
I'm not going. You can drag me to school, I
Yeah.
think.
And at that time, you were getting
Yeah.
like close to my height. So I was like, there's no way I can physically get her there anymore.
Yeah.
And then I remember because I was a computer analyst programmer for the government here in Manitoba. And Kirsten had talked to me about I'm quitting school. And I talked to some of my coworkers at our coffee break. And we were talking about, I said, I've always thought it was dyslexia. Like I've always thought that. And I said, well, why don't you just look into, maybe there's a conference you can go to. And I did look that evening, and there was actually, I was looking about dyslexia specifically, and there was this woman named Susan Barton, and she was, right, an advocate for parents, to say the least. And I was like, wherever she is, I'm going to go see her. And she happened to be coming to Manitoba, like literally a couple weeks later. And I thought I was like, I'm like, this can't be real, because she was from California. And ended up the resource team was doing a conference, and she was their lead speaker or their keynote speaker. And I begged them to go into that conference. And they did. They let me come in. And when I talked to Susan, I told her the situation of 6-7 years of trying to get you help. And she said, I told her, she's like, I'm not a dyslexia, I'm not a psychologist, but those are all the warning signs of dyslexia. This is what you do. And she gave me a list of things for the psychologist. She's like,
Yeah.
you have to do it privately. You're going to have to do it on your own.
Yeah.
But at least somebody told me that. That was the first person ever that said, go outside and do it yourself. It didn't occur to me that that was a choice.
You could do that.
I always thought, well, I'm not an educator. The educators know what they're doing. It's for them to help my... And I didn't occur to me that I could advocate for you on my own outside of that and bring
Yeah.
information to them. It didn't occur to me. So, needless to say, finding a psychologist that would test for dyslexia Manitoba was very difficult. I think back then it was the Yellow Pages, so those of you who are my age will know what that is. I went through everybody in the book, and everyone said, dyslexia is an old term, we don't use that anymore, which was not true.
Yeah.
Right? So finally I found a group that said, we will test. Dyslexia is not a test. There's multiple things, but we know how to analyze the tests and the results to be able to determine if it's dyslexia or not. So finally, it took at least a year to find a psychologist.
Yeah.
And went to see a psychologist, and interestingly, is he took a really long time to get the report done. And I remember it was Christmas, and I called and I had said, I'm really trying hard to be patient, but I just need to know, like, is it true? Like,
Yeah.
is it dyslexia? It's like, verbally, I will tell you, yes, she has dyslexia. He said, but I'm having a hard time writing the report because this report has to be for everyone. He said, school, outside of school. He said, I'm having a hard time because we all failed Kirsten. And he said, I'm having a hard time writing this because I am doing and pointing fingers and having a lot of blame. And he said, and that's not helpful to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
He said, so I have to make sure I word it in a way that is going to bring a team together for Kirsten. I was so grateful. I got bawled because that was the best Christmas present I think I've ever had. Because at least now I had documentation. I had a plan. I had something that we were going to do that was going to help you and make a difference.
Yeah.
And I remember I had that report finally in my hands, and I'd set a meeting with school, and it was me. And then it was like, I thought, okay, I'm going to the classroom teacher. Okay, we have a plan. This is fantastic.
Let's get started.
Let's get started. I had, Orton Gillingham, what was recommended, and I had already bought the first box. I was going to pay for it. Like, I was going to do whatever I had. I was so happy. And I sat, and there was the school psychologist, the classroom teacher, the principal, the vice principal, the resource teacher, the speech language pathologist.
Yeah.
This wall of people. And I thought, great, the team's together. Like, I really was like, great, we're all going to be Team Kirsten. This is exactly what the psychologist was intending to do with this report.
Yeah.
And the first thing when we sat down, the principal had said, we don't think this report is accurate. Very first thing he said. And my heart dropped to my stomach. I still, like you say, you see, I feel, oh.
Yeah.
You say you still have PTSD, but I do too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was that one parent who had been wanting a solution and begged people. And I finally brought it to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they said it was wrong.
Yeah.
And I was quiet and I said, so why would you say that?
Yeah.
And the principal said, well, Kirsten's smarter than this. She's rating way above grade 2, grade 3.
Mm-hmm.
I said, according to what tests have you done? And he said, well, I've worked with Kirsten myself. She's fine.
Yeah.
You were 3-4 grades behind. The norm standardized test showed it. They showed how good your visual memory was. They showed how good your working memory and your long-term and short-term memory. They showed all of that. That's how you were able to get through. The psychologist documented it so well. And the whole wall of people, nope, it's not right. I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed in my community.
Yeah.
I think I pulled you out the next day.
Yeah, I think that was when we just finished that year and then we moved somewhere else. We went to a new school.
Because I know, looking back, it probably was the wrong choice because you had your team base, like your school peer group there. But I couldn't keep you in a place that wouldn't accept. At the end of the day, dyslexia it's a learning disability. Mm-hmm. And if I had a group of people who said, nope, that's wrong, when you're not the specialist who knows how to diagnose that did it, and you guys say it's not true, it's like saying, you don't have diabetes. Yeah. You don't need your insulin. Yeah. It's the same thing. Yeah. I felt like I was slapped in the face.
Yeah.
And I remember in that meeting, I remember a lot of people saying a lot of things to me in there, but I remember just feeling so disappointed. And I was like, I'm not going to let anyone ever feel like this. I felt like they had planned to purposely shut me down. And they all ganged up on me to do that. Mm-hmm. That may not have been their intent, but that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Because not one person acknowledged that report was accurate. Mm-hmm. Or that they were going to help. Not one. I think you ended up paying the price for that because I ended up withdrawing you and we ended up going to a private Catholic school, which was very hard for you.
Yeah, it was I think it was just getting taken out of my social group was tough, and now going to a new school, I didn't have anybody to help me with my assignments or helping me, if I had to read something, or because I never had an EA. I never had a support worker.
We never had accommodations. Nothing was ever from it, but they did it, and I didn't know.
Yeah.
So you had peer group helpers.
I had even just like a buddy, like one of my best friends in elementary. She would always help me with like reading extra stuff. If we ever like had to go to a reading group, we would do that. And so it wasn't I think accommodations where I had any technology or like that was not how it was when I was in elementary. It was like you got a pen, you got a paper, and that's it.
That was it. Yeah.
And so it was just you gotta gotta do it. You gotta just put up with it. And so I don't know. I think for me to just get through school, like it was just what are the fun things,
Yeah.
right? And so when I went to that new school, it was like, well, the fun things aren't there really. Like, well, we had gym, and I like gym, and music. We didn't really have music because I didn't want to get into like playing an instrument again, and so I just kind of felt like I had a totally different identity. It was like, okay, yay, I know I'm dyslexic, but it's like, but now my dyslexia diagnosis kind of led to my isolation. Like it led me to, I don't know, like I think looking back, I think it was the right choice because I feel like everything happens for a reason, kind of, and I think that was the choice you made for me, and I was a kid, so I just that's just what we have to go through. And I don't know, I think school, in the public school, like for most classes, really helped me. Like I think social studies, I was actually like, they were giving me accommodations. They would read it out loud. They'd give me notes.
Yeah.
I think it was just one science class that
But they never documented or wrote it down.
Yeah.
They did it without me knowing. So I didn't know when I pulled you. I didn't know that. I didn't know if I, and we've talked about this often, is there's a lot of things. Does anyone ever make, kids don't come with a manual. Like I wish they would, because then that would be super helpful. But I always say I did the best that I could. It may not have been the right choice, but I did the best that I could in the moment with the information I had. Mm-hmm. Are there lots of things that I wish we would have done different? Yes. But I couldn't have. My intent was always, how do we get you in a way, if you were going to be illiterate your whole life, what was it going to, because in that meeting, I had said that. I had said, Kirsten's going to be illiterate. She's 3-4 grades behind already, and we're in grade 6. What's going to happen in high school?
Yeah.
And one of the resource teachers said to me, it's okay, Cheryl. Walmart will always need greeters.
Yeah.
If you wanted to be a Walmart greeter, great. If that was your choice and that's what you wanted to do, perfect. But that's what you think my child can aspire to?
Yeah.
Is a Walmart greeter, and that's it? Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
So my goal was, how do we get you reading and spelling to where you need to? Because we all agree, dyslexia, you have to be smart. That was something everyone agreed to. How do we in your group get you to read and spell in a way that you need? Not the way our system teaches it, but in a way that you need, so you can be successful and choose what you want. That's all I ever wanted.
Yeah.
If what you wanted was to be a Walmart greeter, perfect. But at least you had a choice. Back then, we wouldn't have had any.
Yeah.
If we continued on that path.
Yeah.
And I think going to the private school for that 1 year, you talked about, I was very grateful because you always did tell me, and I only kept you there for a year because you were very unhappy. So we ended up shopping around and finding a public school in our area that was willing to have the accommodations, that was willing to, all the tutoring you did to learn to read and spell was our own.
It was getting better.
It was on our own.
Yeah, it was on our own, starting that.
But they were willing to at least accept, like, that's such a ridiculous thing to say, that they were willing to accept the report. It's a medical diagnosis. But this school, the principal was like, yep, you are the mom. We are going to work together. We are Team Kirsten. What is it that you need from us, Cheryl?
Yeah.
And I was so grateful.
Yeah, I think they were just, that was grade 8,
Grade
right?
8,
So it was, they were open-minded about that. I don't know, I think now like you talking about that, I think I knew I was dyslexic, but I was just also learning, like, what does dyslexia mean, right? Because I was just at that point of, like, wow, dyslexia is a lot of sadness, like, it's a lot of suffering. It's a lot of, like, not fitting in that way. And it's like, but what is dyslexia? And I was, now that you're talking about, like, is it that maybe those teachers, they didn't know about what dyslexia was? I find a lot of the times, too, like, just because I can, I have the way I talk, the way that I present myself, the way I carry myself, I don't look like someone who has a disability. Is that what they were looking for? Were they looking for someone who looks like they have a disability and oh, you don't look like you have a disability, so you're capable, right? But even though when I was in school, like I also had to realize too that like dyslexia isn't, I don't see things backwards. I don't,
Yeah.
right? Like when I look at certain letters, I didn't know those sounds.
Yeah.
I was just guessing. I was like, G, what, and then just pick a random sound, right? I didn't associate, I didn't have phonemic awareness. So I think when people are like, oh, you read backwards, ha ha ha, it's like, but I don't. I don't even need glasses. There's nothing wrong with my eyes.
Yeah.
Right?
And I remember we were doing the first book, and
Yeah.
it was not even letters. It was same sound, same color, different sound, different color. And it was just, okay, this is the sound, now build it.
Yeah.
These are the sound, now build it. That's spelling. Here are the sounds. I'm designating them. Touch and say. Slowly blend. Fast like a word. That's reading.
Yeah.
And I remember you going, why didn't anyone ever tell me this? It was like that deer in headlights moment was gone. And you're like, why didn't someone explain it to me like this? Because you needed logic.
Yeah.
Rules. How come? What's my plan? Right? Again, the structure that you crave was there.
Yeah.
And it gave it to you in literacy so that you could understand why.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it this way? Why is it that words go this way? Why is it that there's, right? Like, you wanted to know the why.
Yeah.
And you needed something that would be to teach you that. I think, and I think going back to grade 8, we were back at public school. Was that a better experience for you? Because I think you knew some kids, didn't you, from that school? Or did you not know anyone again? I don't remember.
When I went to the private school, one of my friends, she was being bullied at that same school that I was originally at, and they were having some issues, right? So she ended up coming with me
to the public
school, and it was just it was just me and her. And then we met, like, there was another girl that we met, we were really close, so it was just like us three, right? And yeah, I think I did find people that I connected with. I think I was at a different place though, where I wasn't like, what's wrong with me? Like, I am so, like, it's never gonna get better. Like, I had hope that's like, okay, this suffering is gonna end at some point. Like, it's not gonna be this bad. So I did feel like, oh my God, things are gonna change. And I think too, like, I think if you would have kept me at GV, I would have been like, wow, my mom doesn't care. You know, like, that could have also been, I was really proud, I think, that I was like, I'm changing. I'm doing something different, right?
Did you feel like it was getting better? Because I know your literacy was improving already year 1.
Yeah,
we're actually year 2.
Yeah, I remember when I was in, it was social studies. I love that teacher. I can't remember her name, but that was the first time I was actually able to, like, we were learning minerals, and there was some hard words I had to read, but we were doing so many, like, experiments, and I had to, like, do an experiment for the class, and I was like, I had to read from a script, but I felt confident enough to do that. Whereas before I would be like, I'm going to the office, I'm sick, I don't feel good, I'm avoiding this, right? So I was like, wow, I want to do this.
It's interesting that you say confidence, because that confidence was built with ability. Because you were able to start decoding,
That's right.
to start sounding out, to start, right? Like, it was changing for you. And I just want to mention one thing. When we did go back to the public school in grade 8, I remember at the end of that year, I was very grateful for that team. Like, that was the team Kirsten. That was the first time in grade 8 that I ever experienced a group of educators that embraced parents collaborating with the school and saying, what are we doing for Team Kirsten? And he was the one that said, well, you see Kirsten all day long. We need to know her from you. Like, it's not just a school environment. And I really appreciated that. And when you were going into high school, grade 9, we go into another building. And he had said, Cheryl, her cumulative file is what accumulates throughout the years. He says, I have to purge some of these things because going into high school, there's just too much. They don't care about a lot of this stuff. He's like, but I don't want to throw anything away because there's a lot. Would you mind coming to school and let's go through it together? And I went with him, and we were there for most of the afternoon. Your file was massive. And I'd never seen it before. I didn't know I could. And he said, you're right. You're the parent. You can see it anytime you want. I didn't know that. So I've become better at knowing the laws and what parents are able and not. But at the time I didn't. I was new. So we went through, and it ended up in that meeting of the school that I pulled you out of, where there was that wall and team that were me versus them, it felt like,
Yeah.
they actually had done norm standardized tests. And the tests were actually exactly the same scores as the psych assessment.
So very similar.
So when they all, very similar. Like I compared like ability by ability, and it was within a percentile or two. Like it was so close.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I was silent. He was just like, "What's wrong?" And I told him about what had happened. And I said, they told me, all of them, that they didn't believe it. And yet in it was contents of them doing the tests, it being very similar to what was there. And they ganged up on me and said that this is not, and they didn't tell me. I was so, and he was shocked.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, you're supposed to be able to look at this, and you're supposed to be able to see it. And I said, all of those people, I said, I don't know whether or not they've seen this, or if it was just the resource teacher that did these tests, but it was in there that it was correct.
Right.
So one person, at least in that room, knew it was correct and didn't say anything. One or all, I don't know. That was so disappointing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I vowed I will never allow a parent to go into a meeting on their own and feel that way ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I wanted the best for you. And one of the things I think that I always feared was, will you be able to do what you choose? That was always a thing that I worried about. High school was hard for you.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't hard because you couldn't read and spell anymore. By about grade 10, you were reading and spelling at grade level. Right? We've caught up.
We've caught up, yeah. But there was so much of my, like, trauma and insecurities that didn't, I don't want to say didn't allow me. I think it was myself that wouldn't allow myself to be free, wouldn't allow myself to try, because I think I was so traumatized by how much pain it caused me that I was like, I don't want to live through that again. That was too much. So I think high school, I was just okay with the 50s. I was okay with just making it by.
And that was, I mean, you graduated. I was so proud of you. You graduated. We took an extra 6 months to do that.
Yeah.
But then there's the teenage stuff. Like, I don't know how you would have gotten through high school if you were still illiterate. I don't know how that would have happened.
Yeah. I think having all of the, like, even just me not being able to read up until, let's just say grade 7, because that was really when we started. We did the tutoring after school, just at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I'm at this point of like, okay, it wasn't as bad as elementary, because it's like I can read now. I can, get through some of those assignments, but there was some teachers that I would have conflicts with because I'm trying to advocate for myself.
Yeah. And they didn't believe you.
And they wouldn't believe me. That would take me back to that spot, that place again, where it's like, I don't learn like how you're wanting me to learn. I do it this way. And it was like trying to negotiate what I was allowed in the classroom. I think I was always open in class to like, can I use a computer, or can I get these notes printed? But it varied too. It was just different teachers. It was just like it was a lot.
I remember we always go in, and I'd meet with the student support teacher, the advocate there in school, and then she'd tell the teachers what you needed. And a lot of teachers would say to me, well, I don't believe she's dyslexic. She's too smart for that. It was an every semester conversation.
Yeah.
And I remember one year you said, just don't have a conversation. I'm so over it.
Yeah.
And you went a semester without me having those conversations. You're like, never mind. You need to talk to them. Because you tried to negotiate and you tried to get the accommodations that you needed. And they just didn't believe you straight out. Yeah. They didn't believe you when we talked to the right avenue. They didn't believe you when you tried to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that was something that never stopped throughout your whole education. I think your whole K to 12 was us trying to convince people that you needed what you needed.
That's right. And I think tests were also the point where I couldn't perform in a classroom taking a test like that. my writing was horrendous. Like, my printing was nice.
It's pretty.
But what I was writing didn't make sense. And I'm very impressed that the teachers were able to read what I wrote. But just even tests, like, I remember one time, I think that was the year that I was like, don't deal with it. I want to do it on my own. And I think that was grade 10. Mm-hmm. And I had to take an exam. And I tried to take the exam, went into the gym, in the gym. And I was there for the whole time. I was the last person in the gym, and I had half the test done. And I had to hand in the exam with it half not complete. And I was just like, that was so humiliating, so unfair. And I just felt, and I studied so hard for that exam. I did all that I could to get that done, and I was just like, wow, that was so bad.
And I think, again, in high school, from what I can recall, you ended up leaving. We went to another school at grade 12.
Yeah, it was grade 11. I dropped out of that school. Because you weren't
getting what you needed.
No. I did, when, like, after we had a discussion with the school, like, after that exam, I was like, I can't go through that again. Like, I know that I know more. And I felt frustrated because I was like, I was disappointed that I just couldn't get the test done. Like, that was why I was upset. And then I realized, like, okay, I am doing things that are taking so much time when it's like they're done it already. Yeah. Or it's like I have to read this book and I'm like, I don't understand what I'm reading. Yeah. Like, there's so many words I can't decode, I can't read, I'm not fast enough. And I just felt like I was just like trying to race through school, you know, and the only thing that was keeping me consistently going to school was my friend group. That was literally it. The social group was the only reason why I would go to school.
Because you asked to go to grade 12 to a different school, and you'd pick the high school that you wanted to, and we went and we talked to them. Why did you decide to do that? Was it to have a fresh start? That I really honestly don't remember.
I think when I was starting to go into grade 11, I started to just, not care about my education. I started to hang out with people that I shouldn't have been hanging out with. I think I made a lot of just bad choices, and I don't know if that was me kind of sabotaging my own progress. I feel like I was trying to fit in, and that wasn't the right people that I should have been with. That got me not focusing on school. So I dropped out because I just was so far behind. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't want to not go back to school. I was like, I need to do something with my life. I can't just not finish high school. Because I felt like I've had a lot of people not tell me directly, like, you're not going to make it. But I felt like because I can't read, I can't spell, it's inevitable that I'm not going to get through it.
So it was a whole, I'm going to prove them wrong?
Kind of, yeah. It was more, I want to prove them wrong, I want to get it done. And then I went to my other high school for the last grade 12, and like totally different. Like, I had accommodations, I was allowed a scribe for my exams. I didn't take exams with anybody else. I had projects that were written projects that they allowed me to do and present it, and like
that year you were at such peace. I remember that year.
It was a great year for learning. My math teacher, like, I was getting like 80s in math. Mm-hmm. He was an awesome math teacher. He's like, he understood that this is all random. Yeah. And if you need this and you need that, well, that's okay. We're going to do it like that. Yeah. So they were just so much more open about what I needed. Maybe I was at a point of where I can advocate better for myself. I feel like at that point, when I was in grade 12, I already finished my tutoring. Yes. So at that point, I already finished all of the 10 books. I've completed all of that. So I did feel like a very different person at that point.
And you had gone to the vocational school and taken hairstyling.
Yeah, I did get
You were accomplishing things and finishing things. And I hope you give yourself credit. Like, you did that. My motto always was, you are finishing it. Like, that was always my thing. But you actually did. Like,
it was hard.
It was hard.
It was so hard.
But you did it. You showed up every day. You asked for help. You got done what you needed to get done to finish. Mm-hmm. And I hope that you give yourself credit for doing that. Because that's a big deal. A lot of people don't make the hard choices. They do, and they're the wrong ones. Yeah. Right? I also think that, the other thing I hope families realize is this is not easy.
That
Like,
was the
it's,
hardest thing to do, was to do the intervention and to learn how to read. Like, that was my biggest insecurity of all. And I put all my eggs in one basket
yeah,
and worked so hard for my reading and spelling that I actually ended up realizing I lost a lot of my creativity
it's
too.
true.
I
Yeah,
lost, like, I used to love to paint. Like, very, like, I did art
yeah.
classes, sports, was in a lot of sports when I was younger. And I think through high school, I lost that, to be honest. I focused so much on my reading and spelling and my intervention that I lost my hobbies. I lost the things that I like to do. And again, that also could be where a lot of, like, I didn't focus on my mental health as
Yeah,
well. So I
yeah.
do find that, like, I had a
And
lot of trauma in high school regarding that. And it just didn't lead to a good positive place for me. And it really affected my mental health.
I think that's one, I know that's one thing that I'm grateful for at this day and age, is that mental health is very important and
Mm-hmm.
it's not shameful anymore. And I think that that was something for both of us. Our mental health, we fought, like, you and I having a relationship now has been a lot of hard work for both of
Yeah.
us. I think we both had to accept each other, respect each other's opinions, but we're both alpha. Like, we're
Mm-hmm.
both doers. Like, that is just who we are. So I think communication has been something that we're still working on,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is how do we allow each other to feel how we feel and not feel attacked by it?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Because I think our perspectives and our way we do things is so different.
it is very, our end goals are always the
The
same,
same, yeah.
but how we get there is very different. I think one of the things we right, was there a fear that you would never make it? I don't know if you ever remember me saying, like, all along even when it was hard when you were a teenager, I'd always say, Kirsten, then you're better than what you're doing. Like, I'd always say that, and you'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm not. And she's like, how do you? And you'd always say, like, how do you know? I said, because I know who you are. Like, when you were a baby,
Mm-hmm.
you would always need to be on me and near me. That didn't last long, but I was
Yeah.
very grateful. And I remember that first year where I had to, like, put you in the sack that was on me, because if I put you down and you weren't near me, you would wail.
Yeah.
And I really, in my mind, always knew you were destined for greatness and whatever that was to you. And I don't think I didn't ever fear you wouldn't make it, because I always knew you were capable and strong.
Mm-hmm.
So that was not something I was worried about. But you have your own mind, right?
Yeah.
And you have your own decisions. I'm grateful that you are doing what makes you happy.
Yeah, I think it was a lot. I'm proud of myself that I was able to, like, just finish the program, but I think in the moment I didn't, like, I just even when I was in tutoring, my auntie was tutoring me for a while, and I remember the moment where I was reading the word and I'm like, I just can't read it. I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. Like, I just can't do it. And but I think that was the first time where I was like, wow, I actually just, like, told someone that I can't, and I need this time to reflect. I didn't try to just do it to get to appease someone. I'm advocating for myself a lot more about the things that I can do and the things that I can't do, or the timing that I can do and the things that I can't do. So I did learn a lot about myself and how I learn and how I process language differently.
Mm-hmm.
And it might take more time.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a very long time to get through that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the families now that we help, it's like, I was the one that took the longest.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
the first student, took me the longest, and I'm happy that we learned from my kind of mistakes going through my intervention, and now everybody else that we've helped it's different for them. And I think the more that we help people in our community, I think that that's creating awareness about dyslexia and helping someone, and hopefully it's not as bad as it was when I was younger.
I think that's both of our goals, right?
Yeah.
Is I don't want people to feel alone like I did. You don't want people to feel alone like you did.
Yeah, like waste so much time trying to figure it out, and it's like you just need to know the knowledge sooner rather than later.
And it's a team.
Yeah.
It's not just a parent, it's not just a school, it's not just one body, it's everybody.
It's siblings, it's friends,
it's everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if we end on this note, I think although this journey is not even close to being over, I think one of the things that we can celebrate is it doesn't have to be all bad. Just because it's hard work, that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's hard work. I think that now knowing where you are now, I mean, you've graduated high school, you had the extra credits that were the hairstyling piece, you finished a couple extra courses just for well-being and mental health. You've graduated from post-secondary, right? You went back and you ended up doing it, and you ended up doing very well. I hope that you feel that you've changed and accomplished since. What do you think?
No, I think I have. I think now it's about passing on my knowledge to my brother, to his siblings, to my family, and like I can already see, because dyslexia is hereditary, I can already see that my cousins benefiting now, right? And like they're not suffering as much as I did, and they're allowed to enjoy their childhood, and school is way better in their perspective, because my auntie was able to advocate, like she now knows, right? And our family knows, and you know, my kukum, she's an educator, and she was able to advocate too. Like I think the message shared in our family so much, and then they were able to also like support us too. So I'm really like thankful for our family, because I don't think we would have been able to do what we've done without everybody's
100%.
help, you know?
Yeah, it takes a community to raise a child, and we stick by that.
Yeah.
I think, you know, this is kind of our story and why. I feel we had to start with why we're doing what we're doing. Our whole goal for future is to maybe give some tidbits of things to help. Because at the end of the day, how do we help and change? Right? I mean, we don't want to be that whole definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. We don't want it to be like that.
Yeah. We want to share our stories and like what we've gone through, so that, you know, we can be a stronger community, you know, and hopefully kind of make that go throughout our country, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not just helping our communities, our cities, but it's like it's going beyond that.
Yeah, and our hope is that you all join us for this journey, because it's a doozy.